lovelies. So I wanted to start with a trigger warning and a disclaimer because we're talking about belly fat as it relates to menopause, but it may trigger any stuff you have around body image in general because this is a very emotional topic for women, understandably. I am going to be mentioning weight and fat, and I wanted to clarify that I'm not speaking about them in relation to the bigger subject of general body weight. That is a subject that is far beyond my ability to talk about. So please interpret everything I say from the perspective of learning how to be as healthy as possible in middle age and beyond. I share my discoveries in hopes it gives you some peace and clarity like it did for me. If this is a sensitive area for you, please take care of yourself. Skip this video if you need to, and know that you are loved. So, I am officially in menopause. Thank you. It's been over a year since my last period, and things are changing. Now, some people have termed this phase of life middle-essence because it has a lot of similarities to adolescence. Awkwardness, feeling disconnected from your body as it changes, being emotional. Personally, I am going between tears and anger.
No, I'm still sad. It didn't work.
Today, I want to talk about one of those body changes, belly fat. Now, specifically, I'm going to talk about my belly fat, not your belly fat, because every woman's belly fat is unique to them. So I feel like I can only speak about mine. But what we all have in common is the struggle to love our bodies while living in a culture that worships being thin and young, neither of which are part of menopause. This is footage of me in my 20s. I never had issues with weight. If anything, I struggled to keep weight on. And this is me now. I've gained weight around my middle and my butt. Not so mad about the butt part. Now, even though some of you may look at me and think, no, not belly fat. That's not belly fat. For me, it actually is compared to where I was before. Me standing around in a bikini and a t-shirt is actually very scary and uncomfortable for me to do. But this is part of me insisting that I do whatever it takes to love my body as she is. This is new behavior, by the way. I was in a very negative place around my body. As recently as a couple of weeks ago, I was berating myself. You've got to work out more, fix your diet, get rid of that tummy. Why do you even have a tummy? You've never had a tummy. I did start to exercise a little more and shift my diet, a little less chocolate, but my body actually wasn't feeling it. It was completely unhappy and kind of rebelling. And on top of that, nothing was changing. Part of me was saying, just be okay with the way things are. But then another part of me was like, yeah, no, we don't like the extra fat and you need to get rid of it now. I was really torn. And then the universe stepped in, as she always does. This time she showed up through my mom, who mentioned a radio show she listens to often called The Tonic. They had recently done a segment on menopause that my mom thought I'd be interested in listening to. So I decided to listen to it while I'm taking a shower, and I hear this.
So when our hormones are falling, specifically estrogen and progesterone, our body tries to hold on to them. And one way it does that is by increasing belly fat, because we can hold estrogen there.
I'm like, wait a minute. Rewind.
So when our hormones are falling, specifically estrogen and progesterone, our body tries to hold on to them. And one way it does that is by increasing belly fat, because we can hold estrogen there.
Our bodies add belly fat so we can more easily hold on to estrogen. The extra belly fat was my body's way of trying to take care of me. My whole world instantly shifted. I really couldn't believe it. I became so grateful for the belly fat, knowing it was trying to help regulate my hormone levels and keep me feeling happy and healthy. I literally was like, maybe you shouldn't be trying to get rid of this fat after all. I decided to do research to back up what I had heard on that radio show. All of the articles acknowledged the struggle with menopausal weight gain, but not one of them explained what the body was trying to do in gaining that weight. These articles focused on fighting menopause, literally encouraging us to go against what naturally happens to every woman in this stage of life. I mean, it was insane. Fight the body fat, get rid of the body fat, how horrible it is that you have the body fat. They want us to torture our bodies in an attempt to live up to the societal body ideal, which is to be thin. I'm just gonna say it, menopause and thin actually don't go together. They don't mesh well. I almost lost my mind doing that research. It was painful. Here's an example of what I came across. To attack belly fat and any other menopause weight gain, you need to burn between calories most days of the week. Notice the words they use. To attack belly fat. No. That's like attacking yourself. I bleeped out the amount of calories because I'm not even remotely trying to promote that type of guidance. So just to reiterate, some weight gain during menopause is your body trying to love and take care of you on a hormonal level. In fact, a highly recommended book for menopause called Menopausal Years, The Wise Woman Way by Susan Weed suggests we gain up to 1 pound a year for 10 years. Here's what she says in the book. Thin women have more hot flashes and an altogether more difficult menopause than heavier women. Fat cells produce estrone, a kind of estrogen. If you won't let yourself gain 10 pounds, at least stop trying to lose weight. Dieting decreases bone mass and weakens the heart. Enough said. I actually want to point out one other thing I learned during my research because I found myself having a hard time embracing the idea that any fat could be okay. And that's probably because we live in a culture that tells us all fat is bad. But in fact, there are different types of fat in the body. And the one that isn't good is the one that collects around our organs. And that can happen even in a thin body. So what I've come to realize is that we actually need to be open to the idea that not all fat is bad. I'm just going to brainwash us by repeating this idea. A dietitian I came across, Jessie Haggerty, said this: fat is your friend. When your ovaries no longer produce estrogen, the body's adipose tissue, fat tissue, takes over to produce and regulate estrogen in the body. An increase in body fat is our body's way of adapting in order to regulate estrogen production as we age. It literally took me hours to find that online. Hours. Every time I dive into these subjects, 1, I get mad. And 2, it just validates how much the narrative around menopause and aging needs to change. Definitely check out my anti-aging video on beauty and aging for more thoughts on how I feel we need to change this narrative. But for right now, I think it's important that we remember everything in the media is there to sell us thinness and youth. We are constantly being gaslit. And so I want to take a second to acknowledge what all of us go through in this area 24/7, 365 days a year. And I want to acknowledge that whatever gaslighting you've experienced in your life around body image, I want you to know that I'm sorry. I do want to mention one other factor that plays a major role in weight gain during menopause, and that is stress. It is really hard to not be stressed when your sleep is being messed with, when you're having hot flashes and night sweats, when you're experiencing brain fog and mood swings. Stress is pretty much a part of going through menopause. And the problem with that is stress causes high cortisol levels. And high cortisol levels can cause things like sugar cravings. Oh, hello, chocolate. And slow your metabolism, which is a perfect recipe for gaining weight. But the way to deal with this is not to diet or exercise more. The way for us to deal with high cortisol is to find ways to lower our stress levels. In my dream world society, it would be set up in such a way that as soon as you hit menopause, systems kick in to support you in every way possible through this transition. And the culture as a whole would immediately revere and celebrate us for reaching menopause and go out of its way to worship us. A girl can dream. In the meantime, gaslighting isn't going anywhere. So every time we leave our house, go online, or even put on clothes, all that messaging bombards our thoughts. It was actually really painful reading some of the comments by women and how they spoke about their bodies in the articles that I read. And so here I offer a few suggestions for how we can be more gentle with ourselves and each other. Let's reframe the ideal body as strong and healthy instead of thin. Get rid of your scales if you have one. I feel like we should judge our bodies by how it feels and not by how much it weighs or how it looks. If you like hearing the number, then you could do what I do, which is every time I go to the doctor, I find out how much I weigh there. And it can give me a little gauge and compare to how much I've shifted or not from the year before. But it doesn't allow it to get into that kind of obsessive place of measuring everything by that number on the scale. Relax the belly. It's supposed to be round. The whole time I was in the bikini and the t-shirt, I had to focus to relax my belly. And that's because I have spent decades training myself to constantly hold my tummy in. And so it's my default behavior. But the bottom line is holding our tummies in is not a healthy thing to do. One of the best things we can do for our bodies as we age is to focus on building strength and improving flexibility and balance. Those will serve us well into old age. I personally am reframing health as having an energy-filled life. And finally, let's remember that menopause is not a disease. It's a stage of life. And if you're watching this while going through it or having gone through it, can we celebrate that we lived long enough to experience it? I think that requires a dance celebration. And that's how I'm going to end this video. Love you and your belly fat. Where my ladies in their 40s and 50s at?